always a pleasure to have you join us on the Diaspora here on the NTA. Welcome. This week we're again reaching you from New York in the United States, where we continue our interaction with Nigerians living and working in this country. Again, we bring you more of the interviews we had with Nigerians living and working in the United States, particularly after their interaction with President Muhammadu Buhari. This week again, we bring you our interviews with the top diplomats of Nigeria here in New York, as well as the United Nations. We also have 3 Amazons who are Nigerian women doing Nigeria proud at the international level. You meet them as our diasporans of this week. Welcome to the program. I am Makut Simon Machan. Now let's begin the program with the interviews we had with the Nigerians that attended the meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari, and indeed some that we caught up with later. We spoke to them about various issues relating to their well-being here and of course what they can do for Nigeria. How have you been faring? Your programs, the things you're doing in the United States and so on. You're very popular at home, particularly with those who listen to the radio and Hausa service. What's life like here?
We thank God, but we do the best we can to help people at home with the program. We're just trying to educate people about health issues in Nigeria and the world in general, because we're exposed to current research and most of the things going on in the health field. So we try to educate our people at home. And here too, we do a little research here and there, but we thank God for everything.
Yeah, but when you talk about that, I'm particularly interested because most of the people that listen to you are in the grassroots, and some of them really rely on what they get from this. So, what have you found out in our medical system that you think needs to be corrected based on the feedback you get from the people?
From the feedback I get, we have a dual burden in Nigeria. We have the problem of metabolic disease, that's like diabetes, cardiovascular disease, things like blood pressure. And then we have the problem with infectious diseases, which are related to sanitation, waterborne diseases, and things like that. So from the program I do, especially the metabolic diseases have become more and more common, like those heart disease and diabetes and things like that. So I think the government needs to really pay attention to this dual burden that Nigeria has if we are to really take care of our health system very well.
How long have you been in the United States?
I've been in the United States close to about 40 years.
Wow. Yeah. So why have you been here all this while, and what's happening with you?
No, I've tried to go home and contribute, but each time something comes up and I'm not successful. But I go home 2 to 3 times now. So I'm trying to start something small at home, but it's not on my part. The government really hasn't been, they haven't been cooperating with us as much. So, but we do the best we can from this end, whatever we can to help the country. That's what we keep doing.
I'm an educationist. Before I came, I was in the agricultural field, but when I came, I've been in education since in the 90s up to this time.
Yes. So what kind of solutions are you thinking about for Nigerian educational system? What should people like you be doing to help, like the president is talking about?
I was glad to hear the president at least advise us, most of us in the diaspora, to go back to our own communities. And actually I started this some years back, working with my community, trying to build some schools, and as late as last year I even met some of the Nigerians from my community, which is called Butra, to come up with a solution to help the youth, because Nigeria has been going backward in terms of education. The level of education has been going down, and I think we are working towards that, and we are going to find ways to assist the teachers, those of us that are retired, and we're still working with that with the former Vice Chancellor of University of Jos, and some others are working with me and others to find some solutions to education in our community.
I intend to contribute by continuing to put more emphasis in educating our younger ones in our communities, bringing medical care, which is our profession, to our underserved communities, trying to make linkages between what we know here in the United States, the resources that we have, and our communities back at home. So we hope to continue and increase with given our interaction with the president.
I was very impressed with what I heard over there. He said we should come back and invest in education, and I believe education is the most important thing, because if you educate a country, a city, a town, you're educating everybody. So I'm going to tap into that. I have a foundation, Miss Africa Tri-State, and we empower young women. So we are going back to Nigeria to invest in education. So I'm really, really happy that the president said something about education, and I'm so happy to support that.
There are lots of suggestions we can offer. A couple of them, one of them, for instance, is to have the right people at the right places. I remember one of the presidents in the U.S. was asked about leadership, and he said, surround yourself with the best people and don't abdicate. So if we have the right people in office, those who are truly patriotic, those who truly want the best for the country, who are not after protecting their personal interests or vested interests, then that's one step in overcoming corruption. But if you don't have the right people at the helm of affairs, it makes this a lot difficult. Number two is to provide sufficient amenities for the people in Nigeria. A lot of time people are driven to corruption because they just don't have enough. They feel they've been deprived. But if the social responsibilities of the country are met, people make enough money, the minimum wage is improved, there's a lot less desire to be corrupt. And I think this is going to help the country a long way when we can redistribute the wealth and everybody has a sense of responsibility and a sense of belonging in the community.
We are not static. That's one thing you have to understand. Things are going to be moving depending on the approach and our attitude towards issues. One thing I want to cherish is that the current federal government of Nigeria has taken a very pragmatic approach and very proactive approach in managing the affairs with diasporas, especially with a constant reminder about government and government officials that the diasporans Nigerian have to step up, and also recognizing the fact that the NIDO will be an organization that will carry that burden of bringing the best out of the diaspora and participate in the economy. So when you look at the diasporans in other part of the world, most of them have traveled all over the world. They've gained experience and they've come back to build their country. There's no country on this planet that has not achieved greatness without input from their diaspora. And the more we have to understand this in our government, the better for us. And I think the approach has been very positive since at least we've got the Diaspora Commission bill passed. And I understand that we fought so hard for that. We know those who actually work hard for that. We want to thank the National Assembly, the government, and the president for signing that bill. It's a step at least in the right direction. The next thing is you want to get the diaspora involved in the political decision process, and that has to start with election and voting. So I'm not unaware that the majority of diasporans are going back home to contest election and to be part of the various political system that is unfolding in Nigeria. But at the same time, you have to give millions of them that are not really interested in being a politician to be able to exercise some kind of voting rights. We're going to get there.
We will not be here just to be condemning everything. And at the end of the day, we don't even have vote. We don't even vote. So what is the essence of making the noise we're making when we don't have the vote to implement, to effect the change, or even to help? I know, yes, everybody talks about remittance. We do send money to our country, fine, or to our relations and our loved ones, but that is not yet enough. For instance, in July, when I had my program, I called on diasporans also to look at education in Nigeria that is failing, and that the diasporans should visit the schools, the secondary schools they attended, the primary schools they attended, and they will now see that these schools are in very bad shape, and that the best thing they will do is to help to support education in Nigeria, promote education in Nigeria, and making sure that schools in their communities. And I was very happy the other day when President Muhammad Buhari mentioned that diasporans should go back to their constituencies. That was my own take home for that event. That diasporans should go back to their constituencies and help to support education. Because the educated mind is always an asset. And the uneducated is even more dangerous. So I would like to say that the diasporans will have a serious challenge at home in Nigeria, be organized to be part of the political process, influence issues that affect us. Those things we think that are supposed to be done or we see here, let us help to see them happen in Nigeria. We are not exerting enough pressure on our politicians.
Indeed, there is so much Nigerians here in the United States and in the diaspora can do to make Nigeria a greater place. If you're just joining us, this is the Diaspora here on the NTA. We're reaching you from New York in the United States. The program continues shortly. Now here in New York, Nigeria has a permanent mission to the United Nations as well as a consulate that takes care of Nigerians within this area. We sat down with the permanent representative of Nigeria to the United Nations, Professor Tijani Bande, and of course the Consul General of Nigeria to New York, Ben Okoyen. We discussed issues concerning their assignment in this city.
Nigeria has shown itself ready to address its problems frontally. And in doing this, it has shown, one, the remarkable efforts of government in bringing about peace, first in the Northeast, and secondly, in beginning to address the long-age conflict between herders and farmers, which, as the President has always stated, must be understood for what it is. It has no religious or ethnic connotation. Now, because the delegation also dealt with other global issues, migration, Nigeria has joined others in dealing with the issues of migration, the whole question of health. The Minister of Health led our efforts in dealing with communicable diseases, dealing with TB, and telling all what needs to be done by the global community, but also by Nigeria to deal with it. Because more and more, there is no dispute that you must work with others to solve problems. How do you deal with the environment alone? You have to, because environment knows no borders. Health issues of a communicable nature require also collaboration. And this collaboration is important, and this is the best platform to do this. Now, the effort of Nigeria to develop by addressing first its initial problem, which is corruption, has also been underscored. Nigeria has led the effort to deal with illicit financial flows, and with like-minded countries has had a resolution which has received a lot of support. Norway, Germany, Sweden, UK, US, everyone is on board. And the whole question being, funds meant for development are stolen and hidden elsewhere. No longer is it so easy to steal such funds and refuse to return them, because there are international efforts now to say that you must return stolen assets and funds to their places of origin. And the old conditions that were placed on the path of return of such assets and funds, I think is weakening, because there is a moral burden. And again, civil society organizations are central. They also are pushing the same direction.
Doing a lot of reforms, to improve the services of the consulate. The days of anxiety and frustration for Nigerians seeking consular services in this consulate are over. We have moved away from the old ways of doing things, and we have improved significantly on our services. And it is I invite all Nigerians who are in the United States of America in my consular jurisdictions to always identify with the consulate. We have reduced drastically the time we produce passports for Nigerians and any other services. So that is exactly what we're doing. With in the next few months, we'll be able to acquire more and more machines and improve way of handling some of the passport production and visa issues. Payment issues have been improved. So the chaotic situation that we face when Nigeria comes here for services are already been taken away by some of the policies we have introduced. So we are well positioned and ready to provide services promptly and efficiently. Basically, the best way to relate with Nigerians is to identify with what they do in the United States of America. And most of the times we have the opportunity of meeting them when they are organizing their group activities, professional activities. Particularly, we have to open up our contacts with their leadership of different bodies, leadership of different ethnic groups. Some of them have annual events, and those are opportunities. We don't shy away from them. We try to be part of them. We try to identify with them. And where we Nigerian government have activities, we also call on them. They also attend the programs and make them to take part in the activities of government back home. So it's a mutual thing. We look for them, they look for us, and we have a point where we can meet and iron out the common interest for all of us. And that's how we meet them. They've been wonderful. They are very good people. Nigerians are doing very well in this country.
It's time for our Diaspora of the Week, and on this edition we have 3 Nigerian ladies who are at the very top of international organizations. They are all here at the United Nations, serving the world and making Nigeria proud. We sat down with them to talk about some issues concerning their assignment. Meet our 3 Amazons.
They're doing really well. We have many in the agencies, we have many in the secretariat, and everyone is adding value to the work. They're being recognized. They bring their experience to the job, and as Nigerians, we're never afraid to speak or to lead. So we're very impressed with them. From UNDP to the Secretariat, we welcome the new people today. Ahuna has known to be an excellent RC in Uganda, moved to Ethiopia. Now she's heading up the Directorate for Africa, so we're very proud of her. But let's not forget Fatima Mohammed, because as the AU rep here, the work that she has to do with the UN is exceptional in trying to bring the framework that we have together, silencing the guns, making sure we achieve the Agenda 2063. So really, all in all, very impressed.
Well, UN General Assembly 2018, the Nigerian president was here, as well as other presidents. What's your assessment of the discussions, particularly as it relates to Africa and Nigeria?
Well, the UN is the global town hall of our global village. So people coming at this time is an important opportunity for everybody to network. Also to restate the value of the UN. And these days the world is in a very complex state. Very many challenges. People are feeling as though they should go back into their borders and just do things country by country. That's not possible. Globalization is real. It's not going away anytime soon. So it really was about reasserting the importance of multilateralism, international cooperation. And all the presidents were here to talk about that, how we can do things better together in solving the problems of the world.
I want to thank Nigeria and Nigerians at large for the support and for the recognition. It's a big responsibility, and I feel like I need to make this country proud, and that is a huge burden because Nigeria has given me everything that I have. This is a country where I was born and educated, so I feel a certain responsibility to also make Nigeria proud through my successful term in this position. In terms of the position, I think that we have a responsibility to make Africa one of the global leaders at a time when there is a lot of stress in international relations. But of course, it's a continent that also still has to develop, and we're working to accelerate economic development on the continent and end poverty. So one of my roles is to help the 46 countries that I will be overseeing to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals.
Well, you talk so much about your country, and maybe let me bring this to you. How do you feel when you see pictures and hear stories of young Nigerians desperate to migrate, some at the point of death, like we have in Libya, Mali, and some other places? How do you feel, and what really do you think can be done to assuage this situation?
Yeah, I think this is sad, and as Africans, and in fact as a global community, we should all feel sad that young men and women have to take such risks to look for a better life. I think migration, however, is part of human history. It is normal and natural for people to move, but people must move under safe and humane conditions. They must move through regular channels, as we have seen throughout history from different parts of the world. So the emphasis here is not that we stop migration, is that we provide official and regular channels for people to move.
How do you see your duty for Nigeria and for Africa in this assignment, and what are your goals?
Well, first and foremost, as a representative of the African Union, I represent the continent. I have a responsibility to ensure that our common African positions are very well articulated, they are understood, that we make sure that we provide a platform for people to be able to engage with us, to support our member states, each and every one of them. Of course, first and foremost, I am a Nigerian, a very proud Nigerian. I love my country, and I have to be able to represent it the best way I possibly can. So as a first step, even as a representative of the African Union, the first thing you're thinking about is to ensure that pride of your country is projected, but also to ensure that the common issues that we have as a country, as members of the same continent, are projected in such a way that people understand us, because we are misunderstood as a continent. Very often, when you hear about the continent, you hear negative things. But we have so many achievements, and it is our responsibility to ensure that those achievements are projected in the best possible light.
I want you to speak to Nigerians, young Nigerians who, right now, I'm sure you're dealing with it. Migration, people, they are just trying to make sure they cross to other countries and so on. I want you to speak to them on what they can do outside the country and how best they can represent that without going through the tortuous Libyan route or things like that. Talk to them.
It's like I said earlier, a lot of it comes from misunderstanding. We're home, we don't know how good things are. We kill ourselves to leave the country thinking it's better elsewhere. And you don't really know what you're getting yourself into until you actually get there. And one of the things I'm happy about is that now we're hearing more and more about those who have gone through the torturous journey, who have seen what it really means, and they're speaking and they're letting others know and are discouraging them. Really, what we need to do back home is to ensure that we are able to create the kind of opportunities for our young people to be able to thrive. We've got some of the most brilliant, amazing people on the continent. There's so many potential opportunities there, but as leaders, we have to ensure that those opportunities are there for our youth so that they do not kill themselves trying to go into, going through these torturous journeys, thinking that they would have it better elsewhere. There's no place like home. No place.
3 Nigerian ladies there making the world a better place and giving Nigeria immense pride. Keep the flag flying, ladies, and there are many more that Nigeria can give the world. And that's why we come to the end of the program for this week. Thank you very much for joining us. Next week, we'll bring you another edition which will tell you more about Nigerians in the United States. But for now, on behalf of the rest of the team and everyone who has made this program a success, I am Makut Simon Macham. Thank you again, and bye for now.